This is the 5 Point Play Podcast, the diehard Duke basketball fans podcast. Duke is not dead. After the Clemson loss, we are absolutely back. If you watched that game last night against Stanford, we are all the way back. My main man, Caleb Foster, even if you want to call it garbage time, you can call it whatever you want, is playing with more confidence than he's played in the last month and a half. Hopefully he builds on it. Duke beats Stanford 106-70. We're also going to cover us just kind of beating down a poor Cal team who, you know what, they had no business being in the ACC to begin with, and we made sure they knew that. 78-57, so we'll recap that one as well. The roster tonight, we got the founding father, AC, the social media mogul, movie Dunn's maybe not boyfriend anymore after the Eagles won. Jack.
Go Birds, baby!
and
What a week it's been, man.
then we got Coach P. He stands for pause. Coach P's in the house as usual. Coach P, you said that you saw an executive order come through from the President of the United States for some Kentucky folks. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, I wish you had the clip, man.
Don't worry, I'm gonna get it. While you talking, I'm gonna find it.
That shit was funny as hell, bro.
But I mean, it's kind of the backstory, Pops, is that UK can't keep Duke out their mouth. That's pretty much what you're saying.
It's the truth.
Yeah, that's a fact, bro.
It's
Yeah,
close.
that was crazy too, but that was pause. But yeah, nah, man, they just living off. You know how it is. You know how they do it, man. They living off a victory in November, and it's just. I don't know, for some weird reason, man. It's like they believe that they're in competition with Duke about everything, bro. Like, I mean, I'm talking about from recruiting to quad one wins and winning games in general and just overall program. And I'm just like, what are we talking about here, man? Like, we got to relax a little bit, man. It's just getting out of hand.
Yeah, the tweet that I guess it was some insider or whatever from Kentucky that is out there saying that Duke has less quad one wins than like 13 or 14 different programs, as if that's the only stat that you take into account to determine who the best team is.
It's just ridiculous, man. I don't get it, man. I don't know. I guess they believe that quad one wins is the fucking
end all be all. Yeah,
they love to live in the past.
Either way, we have breaking news here on the
basketball team to stop making excuses as to why the next
Let him-
executive order,
he goes.
sir, is to force the University of Kentucky basketball team to stop making excuses as to why they lost another game.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades.
The next executive order.
That's crazy.
Well, we appreciate that from straight from
That's
the
hilarious.
Kentucky keep Duke's name out your mouth. All right, so we have two games and we want to kind of cover, and we'll just kind of mash them all together. Because to me, Duke, after a loss, we wanted to see how they would respond. They responded exactly how I thought they would. But Coach P, you're the one that said Duke was going to win both games 100 plus to someone in the teams.
I believe it was 8.
Yeah, my prediction was a little bit off. I mean, I think we covered the spread a little bit. I don't know, bro. Like, I mean, we hit the century mark though. You know what I'm saying? I was right in that. But obviously, Stanford scored a little bit more than 8 points. So, I mean, it is what it is. What did we end up at, like 32 or 33?
Yeah, it was 106-70.
Damn. That was a body bag. And it's funny because I've watched the game like twice today. And I'm still trying to, you know what I mean? Trying to get a feel for it and just see what we did well and see what we did to like shut them down or whatever. They're just, honestly, it's not a very good basketball team. So it is what it is. So I knew we'd win. It's just that, like, I mean, that was just from start to finish. It was just dominant, man. It was dominant, man. And some guys look like they got some confidence back. And that's we doing it at the right time. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like right before the conference tournament and all that shit. We still got some games to play or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like we're gelling that offense looks really good, man. They look really, really good.
Yeah.
Clemson was like the one game that, we shot relatively well on, and it was the only time that we've shot relatively well and lost. And, because my whole thing all year, like D, who's not here tonight, like his whole thing is if Duke scores 80, they win. my whole thing's been this year that if Duke shoots well, we're going to blow you out because our defense is that good. But we've had a couple games where our rebounding hasn't been that great, and the defense definitely squanders some easy looks against Clemson. So it was nice to see the combination in both of these games. And you see that our offense, obviously, when they're playing the way they played against Stanford, I don't even care how our defense plays. Um, but our defense still played well in both of those games, and we started to figure out the rebounding too as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, I thought the rebounding was fine both games. Like Cal, the rebounding was fine. We limited them to one possession for the most part, especially against a team that led the ACC in offensive rebounding and put back points. So we limited that for them. I think they had 3 points from their bench total, which they usually get more bench production than that. No, the Cal game was definitely more about defense. That was more about restoring that defensive identity. Cal's not a team anyway that attacks the middle. So, you know, I mean, they really did settle for a lot of shots there, which that's kind of what Duke has been making teams do all season. And then that's what has been lacking the past 4 or 5 games on Duke's side is we've been allowing a lot more interior play. Against Stanford, it was just all around ass beating, man.
That was a vintage Duke beatdown in Cameron.
Wow. Like I thought with Kyle Smith as head coach and everything, it would be a closer game than it was. Just shots everywhere, and like even like the defensive performance on Reynaud, like he had 18 in the first half and ended up with what 19 because
they were 1 point 20 seconds in.
Well, yeah, they were chanting his girlfriend's name at the free throw line in the second half.
That was crazy.
Which is a throwback.
He turns around and he's like, "We're not together anymore."
Yeah, which is the point, Maxime. That's point. So hold on. They did this against Michigan State back in like 2005. When we played Michigan State and Paul Davis, if you remember that dude, his girlfriend.
I thought it was Cassius Winston's first year there, but I digress.
Probably, yeah. Paul Davis, his girlfriend had just broken up with him, and the crazies were chanting his girl's name, and he had like the worst night of his life. So I love it when they do that. That's just great.
I mean,
I feel bad for Jay Blake's friend of the podcast.
Hey man,
you guys don't remember he showed up on our live show at Cameron.
He did. You got to get it though.
In 2023, that 1 for 10.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
So one of the things I wanted to point out, though, obviously we talked about the rebound a little bit, and we'll break down the both games and some of the things we liked, some of the things we didn't, as we normally do. But Jack, one of the things that I loved about this game was 23 assists, 5 turnovers. Like
that was
Keon James, Tyrese Proctor. I want to spend a whole section of this podcast talking about Tyrese Proctor. I did a little bit in the last podcast, but nobody's playing better in the country than him. But just as a team, before we get into the individual players, Jack, 23 assists, 5 turnovers. That is tough to beat. I don't care who you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, that was. I don't even have words. I'm not going to lie. Like the ball movement was incredible. Sion and Coop had 6 assists. Tyrese had 4. Khan had 2. Malik Brown had 3. I've been saying this a lot. Like Malik Brown's passing vision is insane. The accuracy really hasn't caught up, but it's starting to. Like him,
Jack. What was incredible? You said something was incredible. What was that?
The way that Duke moved the basketball.
Oh, okay, got you.
I watch everything, man. Jeez.
Yeah,
like
Pablo does not rest. He does not rest.
In the high post or at the or just a little bit above the 3-point line with the ball, with the basketball in his hands. With the just seeing off-ball cuts from the guards and just throwing a pass inside to them really quickly has been his bread and butter.
I agree.
I'm not going to even acknowledge that advertisement that showed up.
I know, right?
But he's getting there. He had 3 assists in this game. He had 1 in the game against Cal. Like he's looking good when it comes to passing, and that accuracy is starting to catch up. People are moving the basketball really well. It's a good thing.
I agree with Jack, man. I think his vision out the post has been next level, man. Like he's doing some good stuff, man. Like he's setting ball screens, he's rolling hard. You know what I mean? Where he's catching the ball on the fly, and you know he's he's whipping it out. You know what I'm saying? You know, everywhere across the perimeter, bro, and like just getting guys open, bro. Like boom, look at that pass right there, the back door to Tyrese. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
that's what I was
crazy.
talking about.
That
What?
was crazy too. But just like just watch how he catches the ball in the post. I don't know if they're gonna show something soon. Like how he catches it in the post, and then he'll just completely reverse the ball. You know what I'm saying? And it's something like he'll hit a guy in the corner or on the wing or something that is completely wide open, man. It's like it's good stuff, man.
And he's always looking for the pass first. Like he's always looking for the pass first, and then but the nice thing
like
about
the
it is,
bigs,
right?
they get the ball that close to the rim, they going up with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what the thing about this team is, like we're not going to prioritize getting buckets at the rim like that. Like we're not going to do it the traditional way where we're posting dudes up on blocks and stuff like that. But
Right.
I mean, after two or three kickouts, like if we don't have it, you can tell that all right, get the bucket on the interior when you got it. Like, but we still want to get the three, we still want to get that outside shot and kind of draw the defense out. So that's just going to be our identity, and it's working though, right? Like 23 assists on 40 made field goals. I mean, that's 50+%. That's what we've been doing all year, which is
playing really
a
unselfish.
far cry from what we were getting in the Clemson game, where we only had 12 assists on what was it, like 30 something made field goals, something like that.
And some of that,
it was like 30%. So
yeah, some of that you
low.
can attribute to the game plan that Clemson had, and obviously the personnel that they had.
It was
And
9 on 24, AC.
That's why it's good to be able to have those type of games, which we don't, unfortunately, in this ACC season, we don't have that many games against that kind of quality team that matches up with us.
Yeah, but the thing is, we've been doing that. We've been assisting on all the buckets against all the teams we've played. Like
no doubt, and that's my point. Is that
like last year's team, we would do this. We would get we would get 20 assists on 40 field goals, whatever last year, but it would be against St. Francis, right? Like it wouldn't be against the good teams. So against the good teams, we'd shrink up and we'd have like 5 assists in a game. But this team, I got you.
My bad. To that one where Malik was rolling and he hit him in the corner, like
that's
right
pretty.
there. That's what I'm talking about.
That's Malik's.
And the other thing,
butter.
so we're talking about Malik here, but the other thing that I love is the scheme that obviously John has, and Tyrese has been in this system for 3 years, where he obviously knows where to be. But when I'm watching, especially when we're watching the fast break, there has to be so much attention on Con. There's obviously going to be so much attention on Coop. Tyrese smart enough and confident enough now, because that's one of the things you've been talking about that you want to see with Tyrese, is that you just want to see him continue to be that kind of confident player. There's McConnell Harper right there.
Shout out
to Harper, right? She's the absolute best.
Yep.
Huge fan of the 5 Point Play podcast. Huge shout out to her and everything that she's doing for cancer research. So big shout out to her. But I do want to keep it with Tyrese Proctor. Like he's now playing the best basketball of his career, bar none. It is not even close. And he's playing more and more confident in AC. I think one of the things you've been saying is you want to see him for more than 30 minutes or 20 minutes at a time. Right. So do you feel like you've seen that now? Because I know you wanted to have him have 30 last night. But
it didn't happen against Stanford just because I think because of the nature of the blowout. I mean, he only had 5 points in the second half, right? So most of his work was done in one half. I mean, I think that's what we're gonna get most of the time from him anyway. I do think the dude is enough of a winner. He didn't do it against Clemson, but he is enough of a winner where I think certain games he is like we get into the tournament and it's life or death and we need buckets. He's gonna do his damnedest to get it. And one of the things, I'm gonna stop this highlight real quick. I just wanted to point out one thing from the Cal game. One of the things that I really saw that I liked was he has now established that he will lob. I think one of the things on the scout was that he wasn't gonna dish the ball on his drives. So you had dudes collapsing on his drives like crazy, especially the last month or so.
On Tyrese's?
Yeah, but against Cal, and even Cal, the first half of the game against Cal, same thing was happening to him. It was like all of his layups are like the most difficult layups you can possibly get. But then he did this right here, which I loved sincerely. And then I'll show you the follow-up to that. So right here on this play, he finally got a lob to come on, right? He went through, put the lob up, boom, easy dunk. And then I want to say not long after the beautiful backward slam. Yeah, it was because he was still looking to drive, but he did what
Yeah.
he had to do, right? And then right here, let's see, it's
He's
right
just making
after.
really good
Here it is.
decisions, man.
And then finally, look how easy this layup was for him because the big man had to stay with Common. Look, his eyes are on Common because he knows the lob is
And that's
coming.
why.
So you
That's
know
what
what I
makes
mean?
Duke
Like,
so dangerous, man. Is the threats
yes,
they have on the floor, man. They know
Seriously.
if they collapse on Tyrese, it's a lob, easy lob.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If they stay on Common, Tyrese could finish at the rim. So
yeah.
that's.
So he's got to continue doing that, right? He's got to continue playing like that for this team. Adding that little wrinkle to his repertoire offensively is only going to help him get easier buckets because he got a lot of easy layups against Stanford 1-on-1, which is what you want to see. So I thought that was awesome.
The other thing I wanted to say, I don't know if you have the clip, but I thought the best lob of the night, other than obviously the fast break one, was Tyrese's lob to Common, where they ran the
I
pick
don't
and
have
roll
it
to
queued up, but I
perfection.
was talking about.
But I mean, that one honestly to me was exactly what you guys are saying. That if Tyrese, because before the season started, we talked about Caleb Foster in the pick and roll versus Tyrese in the pick and roll, and how we thought that Caleb Foster would be the better pick and roll player. But if Tyrese,
boy, was we wrong.
well, that's okay. Hey, look,
Hey.
Foster. I love the 6 minutes that he played yesterday. I
Looked
hope
great. He
that
did.
builds the confidence that he needs. And before we get our UVA friends on here, what I do want to say just on that last point about Tyrese, if he starts doing that, it's going to be impossible for him for opposing teams to guard him.
Yeah,
because he's shown the ability to shoot so well outside all season long that now you have the pick and roll threat with it. Like that's impossible. It's not going to just be Common. It will be Cooper. It may even be Malik. It may be Khan. Like you're gonna have to account
we have a bunch of ball handlers on this team. Like that's the beauty of it. We don't have like a pure point guard. We don't have somebody like dedicated to running the show. Like like Zakai Ziegler with Tennessee, for instance. Like this team is full of ball handlers, which makes us that much more difficult to defend. And real quick, here's our boy. I just wanted to put his stuff up real quick. I just wanted to put Caleb Foster on here because, god damn it,
this made me
that was the first. That was the first one that he scored there, and like you can see that you can't see it on the screen here, but you kind of can. The teammates, they know, and
right there.
And
shouts to Duke Lights, by the way. This is Duke Lights' highlight video.
Shout out Duke Lights, great guy.
Yep, always. And this was my favorite player here, the steal. And I know he missed. They didn't show it. He missed the three after that. But that was my favorite play. Was just that.
At least he took the three though.
Exactly. No, that's what I mean. Like
the three is what matters.
Exactly. That's my point. Strong drive to the
hole. That's a tough drive.
Got the steal right after it, and then was like, I'm taking this shot. Because if you look back at this, the first three he took, a little hesitant, still a little hesitant.
A little hesitant, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm glad he was though, because his foot was over the line.
Sure, which is fine, but still hesitant. But then you can see that kind of weight lift off of him after that, and then again, like this play was my favorite for him all season.
That Oak Hill Tyree.
Yeah, seriously.
That's the Oak Hill Caleb Foster. Right?
Absolutely.
He actually missed the layup where he was just playing with the defender, and I'm pissed that he missed the layup. But it showed me, because it was after he hit a couple shots, that he was back in his element.
Yeah.
And so even though he missed the layup, like it was contested, maybe he got fouled, maybe he didn't, whatever. At least it showed me that he's confident and he's closer to being back to who he is. And that's what we want to see. All right, so we could keep doing this, and maybe we'll do it after. But we do have a guest on from UVA, Jeff Lowe from the Cavalier Connection. Jeff, welcome to the 5 Point Play podcast. Appreciate it.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good, man.
Thank you for joining us.
That as I was listening to you guys, I'd like to think that one day we'll be able to analyze our team up 35, what we can do better.
It's coming for y'all again, man. It's gonna come for y'all again.
I mean,
I don't know.
If you go back about 25 years, you guys were putting up triple digits here and there.
Hey, our scoring has gone up over the last 5 games for us.
It has.
But yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you jumping on, and honestly, we play tomorrow night. at UVA. So UVA's had obviously an interesting, year, and it started before the season began. And so, kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, did you see this coming with Tony Bennett? Did you, was it kind of a shock to you? Because just for transparency's state, that we had kind of heard rumblings about Tony Bennett last year, and we thought maybe he was going to try to do the same thing that Coach K did, where everybody in the program knows he's gone, whether he announces it publicly or not, setting up his assistant coach to be the new head coach. He said, I'm not even coaching this year. So, kind of from the UVA's inside info, kind of walk us through it.
Not an insider, but back we have episodes we did back in after the season was over, late spring, early summer, and he did not have a contract extension that had been done. And some of the reports we had read, we were talking about, we didn't know if he was going to come back. And then, after all that talk and getting everybody up in an uproar, then he signed 5-year contract extension. So, he's coming back. And then I was stunned when he announced it right there 2 weeks before the season. I was surprised because I thought, I guess he is coming back. And then he made that announcement. It really caught me off guard. I got a text message. It just said, "Tell me this isn't true." Like, what are you talking about? And so I think that was exactly his plan. I think he had enough of the way college basketball is now, or college sports. And then on top of it, I think he wanted Coach Sanchez to get this job. And I've heard, and once again, I'm not an insider, so this is just, some of the things you hear is that he told Carla, our AD, that, he was considering retirement, but he wanted Sanchez to have the job, and maybe she wouldn't guarantee him the job. So he said, okay. He forced their hand by staying all the way till 2 weeks before the season started. So, yes, it was a surprise, even though we had heard the same rumblings you guys probably had earlier in the year. So that's kind of where we are on that.
I did have a quick question about, I guess, kind of about kind of the future, right? Like, do you think now that they will hold on to Ron Sanchez, or do you think they're going to look beyond, or look from Tony Bennett's coaching tree, or even Dick Bennett's coaching tree, or something to try to move forward with the program?
I just don't know. If you asked me that question 4 weeks ago, I'd have said there's no way Coach Sanchez is coming back. Carla Williams did say it was going to be a national search. There's so many rumors out there, but the team has started to play better since they played at home against Notre Dame, and they beat the brakes off of us, and things were looking bad. But they've won 3 in a row. They had a shot against Virginia Tech at home just a couple weekends ago, lost one at the buzzer. The offense has looked much better. And there is a group of people rallying for Coach Sanchez to get the job. And there's another, it's like politics. You got two sides of them, and there's another group that wants somebody else. So I don't know what they're going to do. I'll be honest. I was in the camp of we need to go in another direction. And then, over the last several games and the way the team has improved, the way the team is playing for Coach Sanchez, there's a couple recruits out there. The rumor mill says if Coach Sanchez gets the job, that they're going to come, they're going to commit to Virginia, including Chance Mallory, who had committed to Virginia. And then when all this happened, he backed out of his commitment. And Sanchez has grown on me quite a bit, and I've actually changed my opinion. And looking at the way our schedule is set up for the rest of the way, it's very difficult. So I don't think Coach Sanchez can get. If we win 2 games, 3 games over the rest of the season, I'd be shocked. But I don't think it's a reflection on Coach Sanchez. So I'm in the Sanchez camp personally, but there's 2 camps out there.
So you kind of you kind of changing your stance a little bit as far as keeping Sanchez?
I've definitely changed my stance. And really, we were on the Locker Room Access podcast, which has Doug Smith. He's a former Virginia basketball player, and then they have some other guys there, host TW, and they made some good points, and they're all on board with keeping Coach Sanchez. You know, I don't know. You either gotta give him a 4 or 5 year contract, or you got to move on. So it's a difficult year. He was put in a tough spot. You know, you get the team 2 weeks before the start of season, and that's just tough. It's just tough.
Yeah.
And so to see the team
I think you
continue.
guys will keep him. I think they'll keep him. I really think they'll keep him because, like you said, not only are they playing better, but you know, I mean, he's a man of principle, man. And I think, you know, knowing the people I know at Virginia, man, like you guys operate a lot differently than a lot of these other schools, man. And you guys, you know, it's all about character and morals and all that stuff, you know, with the 5 pillars and everything. And that shit holds like value, you know what I mean? So I think that, I think Sanchez is your guy for sure. You know what I mean? I think it's obviously going to take a little bit of time or whatever and some more talent. And I think you guys will be fine for sure.
Yep, I agree with you, and he's such a. I obviously don't know him personally, but everything I see and when he talks, he's just such a good person. You just want him to succeed so bad. He wants to win so bad, and to see him starting to get some success, I feel great for him.
Yeah,
That's
how
real quick.
I feel.
Real quick, what are some just schematically, not talking behind the scenes or anything. Schematically, what are some of the differences he brings to UVA from Tony Bennett? I know it's kind of hard for him to establish an identity as a coach this quickly into the season, you know, this quickly after everything happened. But what are some of his, this kind of rolls into our preview, what are some of his kind of on the court differences from Tony Bennett, what we saw with you guys?
Well, one of the things I think that has changed over the last several weeks, offensively, they've gotten up and down the floor a little bit more, and I don't know if he was just feeling the pressure of playing the Tony Bennett way, and finally he just let his hair down. So actually my son, who's a part of our podcast too, he's on a radio show locally, and he was at the Notre Dame game, and he's 18 years old, and he put his hand up. He got blown out, and he asked a question about one of our freshmen, Jacob Kofi, and he was so hesitant to shoot the 3 ball. And I mean, there was a couple possessions he was wide open, and he kind of hesitated, ended up passing the ball. And he asked a question, and the way he worded it at the beginning, he was just, I think he was a little nervous trying to get his question out. But he's like, is everything okay with him? Because he looked hesitant to shoot the ball. And Coach Sanchez said he's fine, but that's not the way the offense is played. We don't take the first good shot. We got to make the defense work. And that question got a lot of play on social media, a lot. And everybody's like, see, this is the problem with Virginia basketball, blah, you know, that kind of thing. Well, since that Notre Dame game, they've been taking the first open shot. And another thing that's been different, and it is schematically, Coach Bennett does not go to the offensive glass. And the team this year, especially here recently, has been going to the offensive glass and getting a decent amount of second chance points. We're playing 2 bigs to start the game, or pretty much all game long. And we're going to the glass. That's another thing that's been different. So, you know, I'm not a big X's and O's person, but that's some of the things just as a fan that I've noticed for sure. And, you know, the one thing under Bennett and, you know, to start this year for us, and Coach Bennett was winning, but it's hard for these shooters to get into a rhythm when you can't shoot in rhythm and you're, you know, having to think all the time. We had Ryan Dunn, who's a really good player. And I mean, this guy was shooting air balls from 3 at Virginia last year and couldn't shoot a foul shot. And he went to the NBA. He plays for the Suns, and he comes out, he's shooting over 40% from 3. And I was like, God bless it. We had that on the roster. They just weren't free to do what they can do. So, and I just think that Coach Sanchez may be starting to do what Coach Sanchez wants to do. So,
And that seems, I know the talent discrepancy was pretty, it's pretty different from the past couple seasons, but that seems so different from, just talking about Tony Bennett, from the championship season, because that team seemed to be able to put points up and seemed like they had a little more freedom. And maybe it's because they were older and seniors and had gone through it and stuff, but they really did seem like they had more freedom offensively than kind of what you're talking about the last couple of iterations of UVA had.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, those guys, there's two that are in the NBA right now with DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome, who are both playing together in Cleveland now.
Mm-hmm.
And you got guys could just really shoot the ball, and when you have a certain amount of talent on the floor, it can you can let them go a little bit more.
Right.
So.
Certainly, and I think the other thing is that it seems like, and again, I don't want to put too many words in his mouth because this is what Tony Bennett said himself, though. But kind of the thing that you talked about when you first came on the podcast is the nature of college basketball, the nature of college sports, and that's a huge topic that we've kind of talked about here on our podcast over the last 5-6 years. And I feel like Tony Bennett's style, and it doesn't have to just be the X's and O's part of it. It has to do with how do you recruit players, how do you retain players, how do you, play certain guys, how do you give certain guys the green light? Maybe it's the ones that have earned it. And I think that's probably, what you saw in the championship year is that all those guys have gone through the embarrassment of the year before and losing to UMBC, and now hey, you've shown me for 4 years that you guys have run the gauntlet. You can just take any shot you want, because you also have the principles that UVA is built on. And so now the game has completely changed, where people are leaving programs mid-season, after seasons, whether they have a good year or not, for more money or whatever. And this is the problem with one of the problems in the negative sense of the industry of college sports now is that you're now going to start losing all these great coaches, and Tony Bennett was one of them, and he was probably the last great coach the ACC had. I know Leonard Hamilton's still there, but he never reached the heights that, and Larinaga as well, that they never reached the heights that Tony Bennett did. And so you're starting to lose that old guard, and it's tough to say that Tony Bennett's the old guard when he was only 50 something.
15, yeah.
And so that's really tough. But just kind of hearing you talk about Sanchez and his willingness to adapt, and I think that's really where you have to be, and that's big. And so
speaking of that, real quick, TK, you guys have kind of stopped the pack line a little bit too. No, you didn't stop it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that kind of a long-winded diatribe there was to get to the point that now that he's comfortable in his shoes, so to speak, you have a couple game winning streak and so forth. Not only is it offensively that he might be letting people, take their shots, but also defensively letting them run, not playing so much pack line. He's opening things up on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, they've run a little bit different on defense, and I mean, the defense isn't what it was in the past, and we're giving up plenty of points.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping we can keep Duke under 100 tomorrow, but definitely you can see his footprint getting onto this team now. I wish he'd done it a little bit sooner, but I get it. And Coach Bennett, he's at every game. His son's on the team, and so it was pretty cool in that game with I think it was Georgia Tech. Oh, when they honored Tony Bennett and at halftime, and his son got into the game, and of course he did what Bennett would do. He got a steal on the last play of the game, so that was pretty cool as well. But
yeah, even so, I know we talking about just schematically and stuff like pack line and stuff. That was one of the reasons why the pack line was so effective, is because they didn't go to the offensive rebounds like he was,
right.
like man Jeff was saying before. They would just run back and just set up the defense.
Yep.
Now you're not seeing a lot of that, so they're still playing the pack line defense, but it's kind of like when they can get set up. You know what I mean? So they're still there. It's just more so like, hey, let's get these rebounds. We're not really focused on running back or whatever. So it's still happening. It's just They're just doing it a little different. So
So
Yeah.
like a hybrid. Like
Yeah.
a hybrid. Yeah.
absolutely.
And trying to avoid those 5 and 6 minute scoring droughts. If you can get a cheap offensive rebound, a putback, or get a foul, or offensive rebound, kick out to somebody wide open for three. We've had a few less of those big long scoring droughts that we're known for.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk to us about who on the team to kind of look for this game coming up tomorrow?
Sure. So number one, Isaac McNeely. He's our sharpshooter. I think he had I think he hit 6 or 7 threes in the game against Virginia Tech.
Yep.
Scored 22 or so points. Andrew Rohde, this is another guy, at the start of the year. So, looking back at the start of the year, we had Worley, who had transferred in from Florida State. He just never came in with us after Coach Bennett left. And so we were at a void at point guard. We have another redshirt freshman, Christian Bliss, who's never taken the floor. He was supposed to be a piece to this, and he's I don't know, there's some drama there with the injury or whatever. And so Andrew Rohde was thrust into being our point guard, and I'm gonna tell you, if you listen to our podcast 8 weeks ago, there's nothing positive being said. He was a turnover machine.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it took time for him to learn that role, because my God, and he didn't have a turnover for 4 or 5 games until this past week against Tech, and he had 2, 9 assists and 2 turnovers. His assist to turnover ratio over like a 4-game stretch was like 29 assists and no turnovers. And he's the leader of this team. And then we have Day Ames, who has he's another guard who he scored I think 29 against 20-something against Georgia Tech. He's a guy who can go get a basket. He's probably the only guy on the team who can create his own shot. We play
dribble, sure.
Yep. We play so I will start with Jacob Kofi, our freshman, and Blake Buchanan as our bigs. And then coming off the bench, Anthony Robinson has really come into his own. He's a redshirt freshman, strong, athletic.
He had a good game against Tech too.
He really
15,
did.
18 minutes. That's pretty impressive.
Career high. And so between the three of them, they'll handle that inside.
We're sorry about TJ Power, by the way. Apologies for the Nation.
Unfortunately, no return policy on him.
Yeah, the warranty is done. So
no refunds.
Yeah.
Well, but we got him. He came from Duke. We had high expectations, and it just he was a starter at the start of the year. He doesn't play anymore. He doesn't get in the game.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, does break my heart. I was really hoping the best for him. He looked like he had a lot of potential with that frame and the shooting ability, but it just hasn't worked out.
And his confidence level when he's been in has been bad. And if he can't make the shots for us, he's really not offering a whole lot.
Yep.
Elijah Saunders quite possibly could be the best player on our team. He's not starting right now. He's coming off of an injury, so he's been back for 2 games, coming off the bench. And it's just worked better with him playing at the 3 instead of the 4 where they had him all year. Just trying to find he can shoot from the outside, and he can also post inside. Tane Murray, senior, he might come in there and score 12 against y'all, or you might not hear his name one time. He's a tough guy. And the last one I'm gonna mention, Ishan Sharma is another true freshman coming out of Canada.
He got game.
Canadian Player of the Year coming out of high school. He can really shoot the ball. His minutes have been down a little bit as of late. I think the biggest thing with him is defensively.
I was gonna say he can't guard anybody.
Can't guard anybody. You're right. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and we'll see. We're hoping that if we could stay. I hate to say it like this because man, what a tough year. But you want to stay if we could stay within 20 tomorrow night. I hate to call that a success. Because
well, you guys are gonna play. You're gonna play 2 bigs on the floor with Saunders at the 3, right? Typically.
Yep.
So no, that's what we're help you with the size quotient against Duke, which most teams kind of struggle against.
Right. So they've been pretty much going about 8 with 8 guys: McNeely, Saunders, Rhodey, Day, Robinson, Buchanan, and Kofi. Buchanan had a really good stretch, and now, against Virginia Tech, I think he scored 1 point. He, big, tall kid, but sometimes,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Not that. Sometimes he could get bullied around a little bit. He still
Okay.
needs to put on a little weight and
thin.
muscle, a little
Yeah.
thin. So, we'll see. Looking forward to the game, I guess.
It's gonna be interesting.
I
will say the two big matchup between Duke and Virginia is gonna be interesting because have we seen Coop guarded by like a true big man this season? I mean, most of the teams we've played against.
Dylan Cardwell with
everybody.
Auburn, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe a few possessions against Broome as well in Auburn.
Mhm.
I feel like that's the only game we've seen him
Yeah.
against like a true big man. That'll be
Andrew
interesting.
Carr
Yeah,
from Kentucky.
Kentucky.
He just be cooking them. Like
Yeah.
It's
gonna be
interesting.
tough to
It's
guard
gonna be
him.
really interesting to see, just from the Duke perspective, how Cooper does on both sides of the ball against a big man.
Mhm.
Oh, he'll be fine.
I think he'll do the exact same thing he does every
I mean,
game.
yeah, it's more about how he attacks as opposed to if he's able to attack.
Mhm.
If you know what I mean.
He's just so versatile, and I know it's a UVA guest here, so I don't want to get it too much into it. But like Cooper, like it doesn't matter. Like honestly, the game, the matchup, it doesn't make any difference. Like he's going to take whatever the game gives him, and um, he's so versatile. He scores on all 3 levels, and he gets out in transition. Like it doesn't make any difference. So I just don't. I guess my point is like I just don't think that it matters who guards him, what the matchups are. He's going to play his game
Until proven
and
otherwise, right? Like, there's no reason.
exactly, that's what I mean. It's not. I'm not even talking down or anything. It's just like until proven otherwise, it doesn't make any difference.
No, Cooper Flag. Listen. The man was playing pickup or practice with the Olympic team and holding his own. So it doesn't
good.
matter who he faces. He's good.
Right.
So we just need. I was talking with another person, another Virginia fan earlier today, and they were like, "Man, if we could just get Duke's worst game and our best game," I was like, "Yeah." I said, "But that's like, maybe we're lose by 15 or 20. So, no shots at us. Duke's just really good. This is transition year. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. We have some good players on our team. We just don't. For us, like I mentioned, Day Ames being able to get his shot off the dribble. It's just not a lot of that kind of athleticism. And sometimes you struggle to get off good shots. That's why some of those offensive rebounds are so important, because sometimes it allows for something where somebody, leaks outside and gets an open 3 or something. So,
I mean, in my opinion, sorry, TK, I was just gonna say, in my opinion, this game, honestly, it's gonna be the key is gonna be Kamamala watch. Honestly, like,
yeah,
just because he's done it 2 games in a row now where he's been a presence on both sides of the ball, which has been awesome, and the activity's been great, and having somebody 7'2" and that mobile is a key factor with this team in particular. But then I just wonder what's going to happen, just because, again, and I know I harp on this, but the Saturday Monday turnaround, the last time we had one, we didn't look good on the Monday, and so now you're talking about an away game, a team that's trying to establish an identity at UVA is going to come out not desperate, but they're gonna play hard. Like, they're going to play hard this game.
Oh, yeah.
This is an opportunity for them, not for the tournament, just an opportunity to to do something for Ron Sanchez, for themselves. So, you know what I mean? Like, come on, the stamina and all that. Can he hold up? Can he hold up this game and really, not get in foul trouble against the bigs, not be put in bad situations? We'll see, right?
The one thing about Virginia's gonna play hard. And it's going to be it's of course a sellout. The crowd's going to be loud, and the team's going to play. They play hard for Coach Sanchez. After that Notre Dame loss, that's the one thing I said, man. This team came back out. I mean, they play hard. They're going to give everything. They're leaving it on the court. Now, everything that they have. It's we've seen upsets before. I don't think it's enough to beat Duke, but it's enough to. We're going to play hard. So.
I can see this being
Hopefully.
very Florida-esque when you guys play Florida, and it kind of held them back a little bit from what they wanted to do. I could kind of see a similar type of game this time around, and I could see us stretching it out or whatever, just because the talent level, the talent discrepancy or whatever. But I don't think it's going to be a Stanford situation, just in my opinion.
Yeah, no.
I agree with that.
They got more talent than Stanford, so I mean, I definitely don't think it's going to be 30, 40-point game for sure. But like you said, they play hard for Ron. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think we win, pretty convincingly, but I don't, like I said, maybe 15, 20 points, maybe, So, and for the record, man, I got a lot of love for Virginia, man. I got a lot of relationships over there with the coaching staff, so I talk to them pretty regularly. So, yeah, I'll never slander Virginia, and I always defend them.
I went to Virginia Tech, so I will slander Virginia when I can, but I'll be
gosh.
respectful today.
Oh gosh. Nothing worse.
I have a
than
good friend who
that.
played lacrosse at Virginia. I tend to limit my trash talk to him and him alone.
Yeah.
And then they lost this weekend too, so you could
Who
get
did they
in.
lose to?
Richmond.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But
yeah, no, I don't have a whole lot of love for Virginia. I went to JMU, so you're kind of in a gauntlet here. But with that being said, we won't get into the preview of our prediction part of this podcast. Kind of let Pablo be what he just said. We'll leave it at that. Jack, let's get a prediction for you for this game.
I think this game's going to be closer than everyone here predicted. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say 83-71. Virginia has broken 70 in 5 straight games after only having done that a few times before the Notre Dame game. They put up 59 against Notre Dame. I think the least they've scored since then is 73, if memory serves. They look a lot less disjointed on offense recently. The defense is still kind of catching up, but I mean, between what TK and D always say, if Duke puts up 80, they're not losing. I think 83-71 is a pretty fair assessment of that.
Yeah, my score is quickly 81 to 68. So I'm right there with you. That's the score I came in to this podcast with. I'm sticking to it after this conversation. AC, I'll let you have that, and then we'll go to Jeff for the final word.
Again, Saturday, Monday turnaround. Young team. It'll be interesting to see how well we handle it. I think this is going to be a defensive game on both sides of the ball. I think it's going to be a slower game. Put me down for actually less than 80. Put me down for like 73-62. I just don't see us scoring a bunch of points. I think they're going to chase us off the 3-point line.
All right, Jeff, last word. Give a prediction. And
if we hold you guys to 73, I'll be pretty happy. Man, I hate to do this, but I've got Duke 84-67. Man,
that's reasonable.
You guys will stretch that thing right on out there towards the end.
Hey, yo.
Jeff, if you're around on X tomorrow, we always do a Spaces pre and post game. If you want to hop on, feel free, please. 30 minutes before the game usually. So
okay.
All right, Jeff. First of all, appreciate you joining the 5 Point Play podcast. Tell our listeners where they can find you guys.
Yep. So if you go to on YouTube, we are at the Cavalier Connection. On X, Talk EVA Sports. And on Instagram, _Cavalier_Connection_. So check us out there. You can go to the CavalierConnection.com as well. The site is up and going. We're still kind of working on that one. And excellent. I appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely. And we'll look forward to doing this again. Maybe it's the ACC tournament. Maybe it's next season as well. But this will be a thing. I mean, I think UVA, once they, kind of get their situation right, probably Coach Sanchez, they'll be right back there at the top. But again, this is a good podcast. Duke has a lot to be happy with right now after those last 2 games. We've got a lot of good games coming up. Just keep it rolling. That's what we got to say. Keep it rolling. Taylor Foster, keep it rolling. Let's go Duke. Jack, where can people find it?
Let's go Duke. Thank you guys for checking us out. 5 Point Play Podcast. Like, comment, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, on Twitter, on Patreon. Just search 5 Point Play Podcast. Subscribe. We're on the road to 500 subscribers over on YouTube. Hit us up with any questions at the email address right there, 5pointplaypodcast@gmail.com. As always, let's go Duke.
Just hit subscribe. That's all you got to do. Press subscribe.
Seriously.
Super simple.
It's a button. Super
Super
easy.
simple.
You don't even have to watch the videos. We'd love it if you did, but you don't even have to.
Yeah. Super simple. Let's go Duke.
Go Duke.